Let us discuss the question, did Josh Allen let...
Crying?
That's right.
I'm crying.
Yeah, he cried. So the question, did Josh Allen let his Buffalo teammates down? That's what he said. So I've got my thoughts on this. I've got Captain's Chair, Uber Eats, and Ticketmaster. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make the gabagool. But we're also going to have some baba ganoush. We'll have both. Why not? All right, so A, to answer the question, did Josh Allen let his Buffalo teammates down? I'm nodding my head yes. You can't see me unless you're a stalker watching on the YouTube feed at Ben Maller Show, but I'm nodding my head rhythmically yes. See, that's a yes. This is no, and then I'm going yes. I'm going, my eyes are closed, and I'm nodding my head yes. Absolutely. This postseason was cleared, again, of all the speed bumps, and this was more so for Buffalo than anyone else. All of the things that go bump in the night were gone. They were all gone. Everything that was scary, all the poltergeists, they had all been exterminated. You brought in the Ghostbusters. Patrick Mahomes not walking through that door. Joe Burrow not walking there. They didn't make the play. Neither did Lamar Jackson. They're all gone. Every one of them gone. And the AFC parting like Moses with a whistle. Just parted away there. Ready to go, and that's it. And then you had to play the games. So you had all this go right for you. All these guys out. And this was Josh Allen, big man on campus. He was at the command deck. He was in the captain's chair. And that Buffalo Bills flight, the flight to Glory Town, turned out to be the Vomit Comet. It was the Vomit Comet. His Buffalo Bills teammates gave him oxygen, and he tripped over the hose. Josh Allen. He's an artist. What kind of artist is he? That's right. Choke artist. He's a choke artist. He had not one, not two, not three, 4 turnovers, 2 picks, and 2 fumbles. That is not a small boo-boo. That is a kitchen fire is what that is, and good luck. He missed also, let's not forget, Dawson Knox, the tight end, sounds like a soap opera star. He missed Dawson Knox, Josh Allen did, wide open. That would have been a game-winning layup for Knox. He would have walked into the end zone, and instead, it didn't happen. Just missed it by that much, just that much. And then in overtime, the Buffalo Bills got the ball they had the ball at the Denver Broncos 20-yard line, field goal country. They were driving the ball down, kick a field goal, and season on a tee for the Buffalo Bills there. He had thrown to Brandon Cooks, who was washed up with the Saints. So the Bills said, he's washed up with them. We'll bring him here. We'll give him some of our food, and we'll get him away from the gumbo, and then he'll be good to go. And Brandon Cooks. And then that was the play for the Buffalo Bills as Cooks was going to catch a deep pass from Josh Allen, and the Broncos' Jaquin McMillan ripped it away. So that's the franchise guys moment. Now, the Bills Mafia is all upset. They're like, the referees. Which, again, no accountability. I get it. You love Josh Allen. You don't want to admit Josh Allen sucked at a time you cannot suck. But he did. He sucked at a time you cannot suck. And when the crown was on the table, Josh Allen knocked it down to the floor, and it shattered. Now, speaking of that topic of the Buffalo Bills and the officials were involved in the outcome of this game, you had a zebra infestation in the Mile High City. So Bills defensive back Tre'Davious White was penalized with a defensive pass interference in overtime, DPI, while on coverage of the Broncos' Marvin Mims, wide receiver, and then decided, not only did I get the penalty, I'm going to compound the penalty because then I'm going to have a total conniption fit and throw my helmet down on the ground and then get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on top of it. And so he did all of those things. There were 2 penalties that went against the Buffalo Bills secondary in overtime. Well, we're going to focus in on Tre'Davious White. So speaking to reporters after the game, he had a moment of reflection on what went wrong, or did it go wrong? What's the problem? Let's go to the audio tape.
I just think that it should be up to the players to decide the game, man. With a game that's fought so hard, come down to the wire, plays like that. I mean, that's a professional bang play. As a defensive back, man, that's what you want. Take the guy to the ground and finish the play. And referees, they just don't know ball, man.
Don't know ball. They don't. I know ball. They don't know ball. That's the problem. All right, so the question. Bills defensive back, as you heard, Tre'Davious White, says officials don't know ball and should let the players decide the game. Did the referees meddle with the Bills in overtime, and did the referees give the game to the Denver Broncos? So I have a couple thoughts on this. Now, first of all, to answer the question, do the officials meddle with the game? Yes. We don't need every single thing under the microscope. We don't. Right? There's the human element in it, and you're not going to get everything perfect and all that stuff. That being said, in terms of what happened in overtime to Tre'Davious White and the Buffalo Bills, no dice. No dice on this one. It is a classic deflection, like a quarterback blaming the wind after sailing one into the third row of the bleachers. Like, well, no, that was on you. Oh, it was the wind. No, it wasn't, dummy. And as far as the referees don't know ball, they don't need to know ball. They just need to know the rules that the NFL wants to have penalized and what's a point of interest for the NFL. That's it. And saying that the guy who just turned a contested play into a 30-yard gift card for the Denver Broncos, the players in this case did decide the game. Tre'Davious White, they did. You decided to commit pass interference. You made that decision, and then you decided to toss your helmet to the side, and Denver decided to then kick the game-winning field goal because you set them up for a chip shot field goal. So there was no meddling referees in this particular case, just one defensive back playing the victim card from the bottom of the deck. From the bottom of the deck. And while White was out there, that was we call it Uber Eats hand delivery in a bag with the sticker on it to the Denver football team. You blew it when blowing it was not an option. And you messed up in a moment. The Bills had no wiggle room in that particular moment. However, I get it. It is easier if you're the Buffalo Bills to play martyr than admit that you screwed up and you in your case, Trey White, got cooked. And so it's like spilling coffee on your lap and then suing the cup. Well, it wasn't the cup's fault, but I spilled coffee. I got to blame somebody. I look at all those billboards with those ambulance-chasing lawyers. I got to find somebody to blame. How about you blame yourself? No, it was the cup. I spilled the coffee. It was the cup. Not my fault. Ain't my fault. The cup. You need one of those sippy cups is what you need. So, again, no dice. No dice, Trey. And on this one, you blew it. Again, blowing it was not an option. You didn't have an option on that. So the Bills Mafia, I feeling the pain, going through these stages of grief and the emotion and all that stuff. But the facts are the facts in this game. And Trey White, his quote, which we played, we are worried that he's going to overdose, Trey White, on copium as he tries to cope with what was going on there. And the game wasn't stolen. It was surrendered by the Buffalo Bills secondary. Now, the other part of this for the Broncos is the injury to Bo Nix. And there's some people wondering why the Broncos, an hour after the game, announced that Bo Nix was going to be out for the playoffs. And one of the conspiracy theories is that the NFL told them to do that because of the gambling. And there's so many people that make massive wagers on these games that, and the NFL, if they had that information and they didn't announce it, and somebody's betting $1 million on the Broncos thinking Bo Nix is going to play, and then Friday afternoon or Saturday night the news comes out that Bo Nix is hurt and he actually got hurt in the game, then that presents an issue for the NFL. So it seems like they were told. I kind of buy this, that they were told, you got to make that announcement. And so Sean Payton, an hour after the game. And is there no way they could have just taped up Bo Nix and had him go out there even as a decoy, that it was that big an injury? I guess it was, that he couldn't play. All right, now back to the Buffalo Bills. So the last word here. Let's right now address the Komodo dragon in the room. So the coaching staff in Buffalo. So the question here is how much trouble is Coach Sean McDermott in with the Buffalo Bills? So it can't be zero, right? It's not like he's in no trouble. It's more than zero. If I owned the Buffalo Bills, Sean McDermott would be interviewing for the head coaching job in Tennessee or somewhere else. He would not be getting ready to coach the Bills again. That's me. Sean McDermott, you look at his body of work, and it does remind you of different generations. There's always been that coach that has a talented team, and just for whatever reason, it doesn't work. They can't get over the Humpty Hump. And so McDermott, the supposed defensive mastermind, Sean McDermott, is nothing more than like the guy working at Ticketmaster, and he's selling you seats. And what are the seats for? I don't know if I want those seats. Well, those are seats to the winter concert series that the Bills star in every January. It's the Puka-Palooza is what it is. Not Puka Nakua. It's the Puka-Palooza is what it is right there. And Sean McDermott is the common denominator in a math problem where the answer is always Heartbreak Hotel. It is. What is my evidence? All right, let's look at the evidence. What do you say? So this is not a one-off. This is not a two-off situation. No. This is a clear pattern. Connect the dots. 2022, they blew a lead in the fourth quarter. 2024, blew a lead in the fourth quarter. They got blown out in 2023 by the Bengals. 2025, blew a lead in the fourth quarter. And here we are, 2026, blew a lead in the fourth quarter. Now, the 2022, 24, and 25 were against Kansas City. This year, against Denver, as fourth quarter collapse. So it's kind of like watching a classic old-school Hollywood horror film where the hot blonde keeps running up the stairs. Well, you shouldn't run up the stairs. That's where the creepy person is. But no, they like to run up rather than run out the front door, they run upstairs. What are you doing? McDermott is the common denominator. Sean McDermott is the common denominator. He is the puppet master of the meltdown. And so why isn't there more pushback? I'll tell you why. I have a theory why there's not more pushback at this point. The Bills are suffering a massive case of FOC, fear of change. FOC, fear of change. They're terrified that they have to get back on the coaching carousel, and so they're clinging to that familiar coach. Even though McDermott's proven he's not cut out to get the Bills to that point. His leadership is lacking. There's a blind spot for Sean McDermott, and his teams have consistently failed. And the lights are the brightest, and the Buffalo Bills don't step up. They don't. Josh Allen, next time he plays, will be 30. Next NFL playoff game, he'll be 30. That's not old, but in football parlance, you're in the middle of your prime. There's only a couple years left. The prime is like a dwindling candle burning down for Josh Allen, and McDermott is this drafty window blowing it out. Blowing it out. That's the reality. So coaches are supposed to be expendable. Generational quarterbacks are not. And certainly a big step back for Josh Allen. At what point will somebody write the think piece? It's because he got married. Blame the woman, the Yoko Ono of the Buffalo Bills. It's her fault. That Hollywood starlet, blame her.